Hi, good afternoon. Today is Sunday, and I just wanted to go over the next actions. So I spoke about mindfulness. I spoke about conditioning in the last conversation, and what I want to go over this time is to share you a step-by-step model that I like to review and I like to go over time and time again with myself. And to do that, I want to give you the framework that I use from a mindfulness perspective. The framework that I use is is a culmination of different learnings that I learned. I went through a process of Vipassana with Goenka, and then I also did the Shinzen mindfulness techniques, and what I have is kind of a fusion, and this fusion is also tied in with some of the practical skills that I learned with creating habits, with Tony Robbins' model of influence, and changing myself towards taking action to an outcome. So it's a complete fusion, and I'm going to take a step-by-step approach to see where we start and what the next logical step is. So what I have today is a starting of what I call a human experience. And let me explain what I mean by human experience. Human experience is what are the ways that we experience this world? And why is it so important for us to look at our human experience? Because what we do today and what we experience today drives our actions for tomorrow. And everything that we go through is the result of the human experience that we have today. And we have our outcome and our goals based on a human experience that we want to have for tomorrow. So to start with, we really need to figure out, okay, why are we doing all of this, and how are we doing all of this, and how do we find out what is our state of affairs of today. So let me share with you a framework. So I have this wonderful semi-flowchart utility which I have created, and I'm going to break it down. So there are three kinds of human experiences that I think that is very important for us. So let me see if I can even expand this a little further. The first one is the sensory experience. A sensory experience is what we feel, what we hear, what we see. That's what we call as a sensory experience. And I'm going to break it down too. So if we take down the C part of the sensory experience, let's see. So we see out, which means we see the universe, we see the world around us, and everything that we do with relationship with our sight. Often we only see our eyes to see the world outside. And that's a primary sensory experience that we have, because we see and then we take that information in. The second part of the C is see in. Now this we had to expand this a little bit. See in is often visuals that you see which is not external outside. Now where does that come from? It could come from your dreams, it could come from stacked experiences from the past. Often we absorb all the information, but we stack them up somewhere within our system. We have historical information and historical data stored up. So if I close my eyes, I remember like many years back I did the firewalk in Tony Robbins UPW. And I still remember I was the fire receiver. Like this, I had been there for the second time, and I volunteered for that for being a fire receiver, which means I'm the person who is receiving the people who are walking through the fire. And I can still never forget, like there were two of us paired up, but the amount of momentum that people had when after they crossed over the 10 feet of the coal was tremendous. I still remember I was trying to take them on chest on because they had so much force, and that's the only way that I could deal with it. Like, I mean, you could have tiny people, like 5-foot people. I'm pretty close to 6 feet. I'm not 6 feet, but I'm like half an inch away from 6 feet. There were people who were tiny people, who were just 5 feet high, and they had so much power. They were tiny frames. They had so much momentum. They would just come and hit me, and I would have to have my state in there, and I would have to stand still. So much force for me to stop their momentum, because we really want them to be safe. That's the other part of it too, right? So we were the fire handlers there, and it was just incredible. And I could see, like, this is what I call see in. I could bring the visuals, and I could see those people coming to me, and I'm stopping them chest on. So that's see in. The second sensory experience that we go through. Oh, okay. The last one is see rest. Okay, I forgot about this one because I was so caught up with explaining the visuals that I forgot about the see rest part. See rest is when you notice that sometimes you just have a blank screen. You close your eyes, you're trying to see something, you see a blank screen. So it's a restful behavior, it's a restful experience that you have. That is see rest. So let's go to the next one, which is feel. Feel, same idea. You have 3 kinds of sensory experiences. The first one is feel out. Feel out is primarily experience that's based on touch. So I can feel my robe, which is I can feel it on my skin. When I press my lips together, I can feel them together. When I hold my hands together, I can feel both my hands together, right? I rub like this, I can feel the friction, right? So this is feel out, which means we are feeling something that is in the outside environment. The second part is feeling in. Feeling in, it's very easy to go back to the firework experience. Even when I relate it, I can feel from inside how I was standing there in my state. And that's a sensory experience that I could feel inside. And I could bring it back from my experiences, from a historical experience, back into the present. There are so many kinds of feeling experience that we go through. We could think about one of the classic examples is my wife. She can always bring back an event that happened in the past, and she can laugh about it. Like we went to a comedy show a couple of days back. I mean, even this morning, she could bring back the story, she could relate the story, and she could laugh with the story. And then so the laughter is because she felt so happy, and something within her triggered this emotions of laughter. So she's able to laugh about it. So that's the feeling in. Feel rest is again a sensation where you don't feel something very distinctive. So you feel at rest, which means you're not able to pinpoint any emotions, any feeling when you reflect over yourself, and that's on a restful mode. One example that I could relate to is a feeling of gone. In the sense, one of the things which I'm going to talk about later is how I deal with food. And when I have 3 states now. So the first state is, I feel hungry. So, and then after I start eating, I no longer feel hungry. So the hunger is gone. So I can detect that, okay, hungry, eating a bit of food. When I'm watching it, no more hunger. So that's gone. That's state of rest. And then I keep eating more and more in state of rest, and then I'm full. So that's another state. That's for me. That's my experience. Each one of us will have our own experiences. One of the things to watch out for is the feeling is something that you cannot translate into words. It's something that you have to go through yourself. And the whole intent of trying to share the experience is to try to relate it with words, so you can see it for yourself, and you can feel it for yourself, and you can hear it for yourself, what it means to you. The third one is hear. Hear out. Again, there's three parts: hear out, hear in, and hear rest. Hear out is words that you hear from the external, whatever that you hear outside, from the outside environment. You can hear my voice, so this is a hear out for you. I have a laptop on my left. I can hear the noise of the fan spinning in the laptop. It's a very faint noise, but I can hear it. And that's hear out. Hear in is everything that you can hear between your ears. And often it could be your thoughts, it could be imagination, and it could be voices of whatever is going on in your mind. So that's hear in. Hear rest is, in my view, it's like silence. When you hear nothing, it's like, I think hear is a part where it's so beautiful, where you can relate to hear rest is silence. You can hear nothing outside. And you can hear nothing inside. That's hear rest. So let's recap again. So we have sensory experiences, which are see, feel, and hear. And this is the one that builds our world experience. We see, we feel, we hear. I had a friend who brought up this point, who said, how about smell? You could smell something. I relate smell as part of a feeling. So taste, again, is part of a feeling. So just to clarify that. Second part, which I believe is equally important, is your motor skills. It is how your muscles do something. It's your interaction with the world, with your muscular system. So one example would be, the way I would look at it is, you can often observe it with after something, do something. So that's how you relate your your motor skills. One simple way would be, you're driving. Obviously, you are using your motor skills. And then you see a stop sign. When you see a stop sign, your muscular system basically brakes at that point of time to bring your vehicle to a full stop. So what you want to relate to is the relationship between your triggers and how you respond to the triggers. That's your motor skills. It's how you use your combination of your muscles to perform an activity. And that's how you would look at your muscular skills. And what you want to watch out for is, how is your sensory experiences and your motor skills connected? Right? I'll give you an example. Every time I as part of my consulting profession, I I'm on calls for most part of the day, and I notice every time I finish a call, I put on the phone, and then I walk upstairs, and then I pace myself back and forth for about 10 minutes. So as I start observing this, I notice that after I put on the phone, my mind is completely blocked up. I can feel that. I have that feeling, what that means. A sensory feeling of blocking. And this is a result of, I have a lot of thoughts that gets into my head based on all the different conversations that are taking place. Then I go upstairs. So the reaction to my muscular system is I need to go about, walk back and forth, and as part of the walking process, I kind of critically analyze all the activities that took place, and I'm also able to logically think, okay, what is my next action? So I need that time where my mind is trying to figure everything together and connect the dots, and then also try to detect what I should do. And one of the things which I notice now is as I'm reflecting it, even as I'm relating this, I have to close my eyes because I want to see what I do. It brings back a representation of, in my head, what I did yesterday, and I'm trying to relate back today. Because yesterday I had a call, and then once I put down the phone, I went upstairs, walked back and forth. So for me, I can instantly replay the sequence in my head, and then I'm able to express that. For me to replay that in my head, it looks like I have to close my eyes. So that's the motor skill that I'm applying here. Closing my eyes enables me to create that visualization. So the key thing is to look for, we have sensory experiences and we have motor skills. So we take the sensory experience today and we identify what is a motor skill that is connected to it. And then the other part of it is to train new sensory circuits and motor skills. So it goes back to what is it that we want to do in our life. And then we say, okay, what is our current behavior? Which means after this event, I'm doing so and so. And I'm going to go a little more into detail to clarify that. So I think we spoke about how I'm a diabetic and the fact that I want to make sure I deal with eating sweets and treats in a way where I'm not avoiding it. At the same time, I'm enjoying it and it doesn't do any harm to my system. And this is when I came up with this new model of operation. So the first thing is, after I sit down for a meal, I tell myself that my body is a temple and I'm going to treat it, and I'm going to treat it well. And the second part of it is, I'm eating food. As every time I put the food into my mouth, I observe my sensations. The primary sensation that I'm looking for is, am I hungry? It's because I'm eating, because I'm hungry. So the primary sensation that I look for is hunger. And I know what it feels. And I'm going to eat as long as I'm hungry. And as soon as the sensation of hunger goes away, which means hunger is gone, it is time to stop eating. Again, there are different scenarios that could take place, right? So first scenario is, I'm eating my breakfast. It's the same oatmeal every day, and I feel hungry, so I start eating it, and I stop feeling hungry. It's gone. So I can take whatever is left over, and I can put it aside so I can continue eating it later whenever I feel hungry. So that's the first motor skill that I can reprogram. in the sense that I feel my hunger is gone. I take the bowl of oatmeal that is remaining and go put it inside the refrigerator so I can come back to it later when I'm hungry. That's one more skill. There's a different scenario. The different scenario, I'm playing around with it, but I'm going to share how it is. Last weekend, we went for a comedy show, and then one of the things that they brought to us was burger and fries. My wife had burger and fries, and I went to the buffet. And I went to the buffet, I filled my plate with lasagna and some veggies and all of that. And then I brought it to myself, and then I was eating it, and I could detect it at one point. I felt no more hunger. Now here is the trick part. Do I stop eating now, or do I continue? So what I did is this time, I'm not going to have this much food every day, once in a while. So I said, okay, I'm going to eat as long as, and I will stop when I'm full. So I was eating it, because it's an opportunity. It's once in a while, so I can experience it once in a while. And then I was eating till I was full. So when it's full, I stop, right? So think about it like the traffic lights, right? Now, except it's in the other way around. So when you're hungry, when I'm hungry, it's green. It's green to eat. When I'm not hungry, it's a yellow light, which means I can stop eating. When it's red, it's a full stop. You have to stop. I have to stop eating, right? Now, whether I continue after yellow to red is a choice that I can make on a daily basis, right? For most part, my conditioning is if I'm eating at home and if I hit a yellow, I stop. I don't push it all the way. But when I go outside, once in a while, I sit with my wife or sit with friends and I'm eating, I can go to the point where it's red. And at the same time, when I do this, whether I'm eating halfway, or I can't say half, when I'm stopping to eat when it's yellow, or when I continue to eat till it is red, I'm still eating with the limits of what my body can take. My body is giving me signals. It's giving me signals of hunger. It's giving me a signal of not hungry. It's giving me a signal of full. As long as I'm responding to these signals with the right muscular action, I will reach my outcome of treating my body like a temple, because my body is giving me the signal and I'm responding to it. So that by itself is how I manage this mindfulness. Now, the last part is situational mindfulness. This is where we take the learning that I shared into practical experiences. One example that I gave you is how do I deal with food? How do I deal with hunger? There are so many situations that we would have to learn and apply on an operational basis. So one example was this morning I was calling my bank for something, and the lady, she put me on hold. And what I noticed is when the lady put me on hold, my mind got distracted, and it just went to CNN.com and it was reading all the different news that was out there. This is when I noticed that when the bank put me on hold, she put the music on. The music was a good music, but I wanted my mind to be filled with something else that could distract and keep it busy. So I switched into a news program where you get all different kinds of news, which triggers different kinds of emotions within me. And when the lady came back, I was not in the same state of mind before she left me. And the reason is I allowed myself to get distracted and put myself in a situation where I was opening up my mind to other news items in the world which I'm not liking. You know what I mean? So I think you have to break down every situation in your life. I wouldn't say you have to start breaking down situations in your life that puts you in a state where you're not happy and see how you can tweak it. And this is what I call situation mindfulness. And we're going to go through week after week, we're going to go through several applications of situational mindfulness. And I'm going to share as to how I'm applying it. Having said that, thank you for listening in, and I will talk to you soon.